The world was a canvas of bone-white snow and jagged gray rock, a place where life was an uninvited guest. In the heart of the Montana wilderness, the wind didn't just blow, it screamed, a hollow howl that seemed to echo the ghosts of those who had fallen here. Silas rode through the blizzard, a lonely silhouette carved out of weathered leather and heavy wool. Every breath he took felt like inhaling shards of ice. He was a man who had outlived his soul, a man whose past was written in the blood of others. He wasn't looking for a new beginning. He was looking for a place where he could finally disappear. As he approached the skeletal remains of Blackwood Station, he saw only charred timber and frozen ruins, unaware that in this graveyard, something fragile was still clinging to life. The stable groaned under the weight of the storm, its rotting beams crying out in the wind. Silas moved with the caution of a predator, his hand never straying far from his revolver. He struck a match, a tiny, flickering spark of orange against the suffocating dark. In that brief light, he saw them, a pair of wide, terrified eyes staring back from the darkness. Tucked behind a stack of rotted hay was a boy, no older than 8, his skin stained with soot and blue with cold. The child didn't scream. He was past the point of terror. He was clutching a small, broken wooden soldier, as if it were a shield against the world. Silas felt a familiar coldness rise in his chest, an instinct to turn away, to survive, alone. "Who are you?" Silas growled, his voice a low vibration that seemed to shake the very walls. But the child remained silent, his small body trembling in a rhythm of pure grief. Compassion was a language Silas had forgotten long ago. Without a word, he unbuckled his heavy cloak and threw it toward the child. "Wrap yourself in that, kid. The fire is coming, but the night is long." As the flames finally took hold of the damp wood, casting dancing shadows, the boy finally spoke. His voice was a fragile whisper, barely audible over the crackling fire. "They killed them all," he said, his eyes fixed on the flames. "The men with the iron badges." Silas froze, the match still burning in his fingers until it stung his skin. He knew those men, the Iron Vultures. They weren't lawmen. They were his own shadow. For the first time in a decade, the armor around the outlaw's heart cracked. He realized then that saving this boy might be the only way to save what was left of his own humanity. Dawn broke with the sound of thunder, not from the sky, but from the frozen ground. A dozen riders emerged from the mist like vengeful spirits. The Iron Vultures had returned. Jax, their leader, raised a hand, signaling his men to surround the ruins with the precision of starving wolves. Silas watched from the shadows of the stable, his rifle cold against his cheek. He could feel Elias's heart racing against his back, a small bird trapped in a storm. "Silas!" Jax's voice cut through the cold air like a jagged blade. "Hand over the brat, and maybe we'll let you ride away for old time's sake." Silas didn't answer with words. He only looked at the wooden soldier in Elias's hand and knew there was no going back to the man he used to be. Silas swung Elias onto the saddle and dug his spurs into Cinder's flanks. They burst from the back of the stable just as the first volley of lead tore through the wood. Was a vertical race against death. They pushed upward toward the Devil's Spine, a narrow path where the ice was as slick as a polished blade. One wrong step meant a 1,000-foot drop into the white abyss. Silas kept his eyes locked on the trail, his hands frozen to the reins. Behind them, the vultures hesitated, their greed struggling against the terror of the heights. Every few minutes, Silas would turn and fire, a warning from a man who had nothing left to lose. As the clouds swallowed them whole, Elias clung to Silas's waist, his small face buried in the outlaw's cloak. For the first time, they were truly alone against the world. The blizzard forced them into the jagged mouth of a narrow cave, high above the frozen valley. While the wind howled outside, Silas knelt by a small flame, tending to a bloody graze on his shoulder. Elias watched him from the shadows. "Are you a hero?" the boy asked, his voice so small it was almost swallowed by the darkness. Silas let out a dry, bitter laugh. "No, Elias," Silas replied, his voice heavy. "I am a bad man who has spent a lifetime doing bad things. I am just a man who is tired of the blood and the running." He told the boy about the homes he had burned and the lives he had stolen. He wanted the boy to see the monster, to know that his savior was covered in stains. But Elias didn't flinch. He touched the scar on Silas's hand. "My mama said everyone can find the light, even in the heart of the dark." Silas turned his head away, his eyes stinging. By the third day, the air had grown so thin, it felt like needles in their lungs, and the Iron Vultures were closing the gap. Their black silhouettes moved across the white peaks like ink on paper. Silas knew Cinder couldn't carry them both much further. The loyal horse's breath came in ragged, frozen gasps, and its legs trembled with every step. In the far distance, Silas spotted the faint gray stone of St. Jude's sanctuary. It was a place of ancient peace, but it was still miles of treacherous ice away. Between them and that sanctuary lay the shattered bridge, a precarious spine of wooden planks hanging over a frozen gorge. Silas looked at the bridge, then at the horizon where Jax was emerging. He knew then that this was where the road divided. Silas tightened his grip on the reins, his face hardening into a mask of iron determination. The time for running was over. The shattered bridge groaned, its ancient chains rattling like a warning. Silas reached the edge and threw Elias across. "Cross it, kid. Run to the sanctuary and don't you dare stop." Elias reaching back for the only man who had ever truly stood by him. "What about you?" Silas looked at the boy with a weary smile. "Some debts, Elias, can only be paid alone." The tree line exploded with the shadows of the vultures. Silas stood in the center of the narrow bridge, his dual revolvers drawn, a lone defiance against an army of ghosts. The air was filled with the roar of gunpowder. Silas felt the bullets tear into him, but he stood his ground like a mountain of iron. He was a shield between a monster and a miracle. Blood began to stain the white snow. Silas fired until his barrels were hot, his every breath a prayer for the boy's safety. He fought to buy every precious second Elias needed. Jax stepped onto the bridge, drawing a jagged blade. "You're dying for nothing, Silas," Jax snarled. "He's just a stray kid, a ghost in a world that doesn't care." Silas dropped his empty revolvers and drew his own hunting knife. "He's the only good thing I've ever done, Jax," Silas whispered, his voice a low growl. They clashed in a brutal dance of steel. The bridge swayed violently over the abyss. Every strike from Jax was fueled by hate, but every parry from Silas was fueled by a promise. With a final, agonizing surge of strength, Silas drove his blade deep into Jax's heart. Jax's eyes widened before he tumbled backward, disappearing into the white abyss below. Silence fell over the gorge. Silas collapsed onto the frozen planks, his vision blurring as the snow began to cover him. He could hear Elias calling his name from the far bank. The monks found them as the blizzard finally tired. They carried Silas's broken body into the warmth of the monastery, past stone arches that had seen 1,000 winters. For days, Silas drifted in gray shadows. When he finally opened his eyes, the first thing he saw was a window overlooking a valley filled with light. Elias was sitting by the bed, the wooden soldier now repaired. "The monks say you are a miracle?" Elias whispered, his voice trembling with relief. Silas reached out a bandaged hand to the boy's cheek. "No, Elias," he whispered. "I am not the miracle. You are. You are the only clean thing in a world full of dust." Weeks passed, and the mountain air began to heal the wounds. Before the sun rose on the first day of spring, Silas saddled a new horse in the quiet of the dawn. He left a small pouch on Elias's bedside table with a note. "Be better than me." He didn't say goodbye. Some partings are too heavy for words. As Silas rode away, he looked back at the monastery one last time. High on a balcony, he saw a small figure waving a wooden soldier. Silas didn't wave back, but his shoulders felt light. The outlaw vanished into the horizon, becoming a legend. Silas was gone, but the light he had saved would burn forever. No matter how dark a person's past may be, A single act of selfless sacrifice can pave the road to redemption. True strength is not found in the violence we commit, but in the courage to protect the innocent and change the man in the mirror.